Welcome to another episode of the Startup Sec podcast, where we do interviews with Sacramento startup founders and innovators. Today, in the studio of Trifecta, I've got Brian Dombrowski, who is the founder and CEO of Fantag. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start out, like we always do, having you introduce yourself. Tell us about your background and what is Fantag?
Yeah, so Brian Dombrowski, I am the founder of Fantag, and to really understand more about the company, it's probably best to tell you the background of how I got here. Really, my first intro, I've always been interested in video, and I got this amazing opportunity when I was in high school to work for the San Jose Sharks. Wow. I worked for the coaching staff, I filmed the games, I managed the master library of content, and most importantly, I was there when software was first introduced to help coaches break down video and make it more digestible. I went to San Jose State, I majored in film, I got a lot of production experience working on narrative films and documentary films, and I wanted to combine those experiences and provide a product that was the professional type product for high school coaches and youth coaches. So I went out and I had my camera and my computer, and I was using software to try to do this breakdown, and really what I learned was everyone at the game was coming up to me and saying, "Hey, my son made a great play, can I get that video?" They would be on the team I'd be working for, or the other team, the opposing coach, the refs. Everyone wanted the video, but really more importantly what they wanted from my video were the moments that mattered to them. And that was really the aha moment where I thought, okay, this is where the opportunity is. Getting those moments to each of those individuals without knowing what those moments even were was obviously kind of an impossible task. So I thought, if I could just give these people an ability to sort of tag their moment while they see it happen, then I could easily extract it and make that more of an automatic process. So.
And when was this? How long ago was that?
So really the idea for Fantag occurred in 2013. I had been working on a website that was designed for coaches and those teams to go, a destination where they could go watch the video that I was making. And then in 2013, that was when I thought, well, this would be a really cool opportunity to create something like this. And a lot of it up until that point was, or beyond that, was working on the technology, the proof, seeing if it was possible. It really required a completely different approach to video and how people think about video in order to make something like this work. So, and then in 2016, it really all came together with the team and the product, and yeah.
Well, what was your early MVP? I mean, you had the idea. Did you develop all the first prototype yourself? Did you go out and hire contractors, or how did the first development occur? Yeah,
so I had met a friend of mine, through a friend of mine, someone named Scott Bennett, who's my technical co-founder, and he was working at Lockheed at the time, and I said, hey, I didn't know him. I had a couple meetings with him. I wanted him to be more like a consultant to see, like, okay, is this actually something that I could build? So it had started off where he was just giving me advice, and then it really blossomed into, as most startups do, he became really interested, wanted to see if he could make something, along with me, and that was when we said, okay, let's do this. And he really helped build the first iteration, the first MVP, which was really just, I think the first problem we had to solve was how can we easily get video, to the cloud where it can actually be worked with, and make that really easy and scalable. That was our first challenge we had to approach.
So you mentioned the origin of the idea was solving a problem of being able to upload and tag video. Has it changed at all? Have you pivoted at all?
I wouldn't say it's pivoting. It's more just once the idea, it was just the first real iteration of how we got into this business. And it, as most startups do, we learned something new that clearly indicated, wow, this is what's exciting. This could be something that, and still solves the problem that we set out to solve. So beyond that, we started to think about it more as, this is what the company is, this fan.
So did that, it's kind of like an evolution then. Did that occur from going out in market validation, customer development?
It absolutely came from just going out and getting the product into the hands of the users we thought we wanted to acquire, and seeing them use the product, seeing them what got them excited. Now at this point, this was not fan tagging. That was what had evolved from it when people really were saying, hey, we're on the website, we want the moments though, and that's really how everything kind of...
Was that initial market you were getting feedback from, was that like high school parents and coaches?
Yeah, it was high school and club, and it was really about, the product at the time was really about me going out and filming for people and then distributing video. That was the first iteration, and I initially tried to just as a one-man show, hey, how can I edit everyone's individual videos and charge them? And it just obviously didn't scale. And but in that process, really learned a lot, not only about the technology, but about the audience that I really wanted to be working with.
Mm-hmm. So you originally launched in the Bay Area, and I think it was last summer, was it? You under big fanfare, GSEC, film crews, everybody at IO Labs, new space. A big press conference, moving here to Sacramento. What was that like? How did that happen? How did that evolve?
So that was incredibly exciting. Yeah, we had our big launch event, and really what happened was I had started to meet people in the Sacramento area who had taken a strong interest in the company and what we were doing. The consistent thread between everyone is they're all parents. They all have kids who play sports. They totally get this problem. And the value that we're creating. And so it started out where I was just coming up to Sacramento a little more frequently, and really I kept meeting more and more people in the community who were willing to do something for the company, make an introduction, want to be more involved, and it just became more clear that the opportunity was up in this area for us. And so yeah, it was really just about meeting one person and then being introduced to another person and seeing meaningful relationships evolve. So yeah, it was really cool.
How would you characterize the difference between being here with your company versus being in the Bay Area?
I think the biggest difference, or way I'd characterize it, is that there's a community, there's a strong community. It feels like everyone kind of knows everyone in Sacramento, yeah. And so when I'm talking to someone, and I might be hearing the same name over and over of someone I haven't met yet, and it's just the Bay Area is a lot bigger. There's a lot of companies trying to start something, and so it's easy to get kind of maybe drowned out. Or have a harder time really finding those pivotal people who are going to move the needle in your company. Now that said, I did meet a lot of great people in San Jose who helped me tremendously, but it's been really fun to watch all these new relationships come into play and evolve. So.
And right now, I think you're working out of the Urban Hive while you wait for IO Labs to complete.
Yep, working out of the Urban Hive. We have a small office space there, and it's great. From coming from working, in my bedroom and living room for a few years to then having a space I can go and really, designate as my place of work. That's a lot of fun, and the environment's great. It's really. I remember the first week I was in there, just the energy of being around people who are working, and it's a little infectious, so it's fun.
So you mentioned you're working out of your bedroom, and as a startup founder, you had this idea, and this was your brainchild, and now a couple of years later, you're under all this fanfare. You brought to Sacramento. You're kind of the darling of the moment when that press conference happened. How does that feel? That's quite a change.
Yeah, it's surreal. There's no other way to describe it. I had my whole family up there, and growing a company, you're going to have tremendous obstacles and so many moments where I thought, man, I really think I have a great idea here, and I think I'm executing, but things just aren't falling into place, and having moments where you really felt like, man, this isn't going to work out. And to go from that to that event was really special for me and fantastic to share with my family who was there, and they've supported me incredibly throughout this process, and that was special. It was surreal. I can't believe we're here right now.
So you mentioned obstacles. What are some of the biggest obstacles you've overcome as founder of Fantag?
I think it's I think some obstacles are really around what you don't know, so what you need to learn in the process. I think, what are some good obstacles to discuss?
Maybe put it this way: looking back now, if you knew then what you knew now, what would you do differently?
Yeah, so I can kind of speak to a couple things. One, I think I'm getting better at this as we build the company, but really that you want to build and learn. It's not about launching something and it's perfect and everyone uses it and they're going to tell one person, and it's really about get something out there that will allow you to understand your product, your user base, your customers better.
Well, that's the whole premise of lean startup methodology.
Absolutely. So it's this isn't my idea, but I think that, and then putting that into practice is big, and thinking. I know for me personally, a lot of times early on, thinking like, well, if I just raise this money, I'm going to be fine, and if I'll be able to do all the things I want to do, and we need this app. If we don't have this, we can't do it, and just really not the right attitude to approach something. And over time, I think with certain, I don't want to call them failures, but shortcomings that put the business in that position where I was maybe more concerned. Those kind of moments, those are the things you want to be looking at, like, hey, what is this telling me?
They're learning opportunities.
They're learning opportunities, and look at them as such. And then the faster you can, make that next.
The faster you can iterate through the build, measure, learn loop, the better you are. I mean, that's all in for founders who haven't read Lean Startup. I mean, that's a great tip. Read through that. The whole thing is get through the build, measure, learn loop as fast as you can and learn.
Absolutely a recommendation, that book.
So, what about some wins? What are some of the biggest wins you've had so far? Where those highest highs of moments that you have as a founder?
Well,
besides the press conference.
Yeah, the launch event was pretty fun. But no, I mean, when we recently raised our seed round, that was a really big win. It was, for me, it was a really big validator, and it was hard not to think of all the times where we thought, wow, this might be over, but feeling like, I know we have something great here. And if I wasn't to be working on this, I would still want this product, on the market, and think it creates a lot of value. So it was that was a really big win, a big validator. And then I think the other big win are when, and I appreciate this more now with everything that I've experienced, having people who want to join your team or want to work on what you're building it's pretty incredible, knowing that, wow, these people are talented, they could be working on anything right now, bringing their passion and expertise, and, when they choose to say, no, I want to devote my passion to this.
So talk about, you've got some pretty heavy hitters on your team. Maybe you mention some of those.
Yeah, so, there's a few people. So Cheryl Benninga, I met her about 2 years ago through a mutual friend who's actually now just become a part of the team. Cheryl is someone I've learned a tremendous amount from. She was the head of Intel Capital. She really knows her way around, startups and how they're grown. And I just am learning. I have learned so much from her. It's been a crash course in business with Cheryl. We recently added John Stone to the team. John was the co-founder of Power School, which was later sold to Apple, and he was working at Apple for a long time. And then John O'Grady, who's seen a number of startup exits that he's been co-founder of, and that is one of the most exciting things here is looking around and seeing these people who really know what they're doing and want to, I look at it as learn as much as be a sponge here, and fortunately they really trust my vision and passion, and yeah, so
Cool.
it's working out.
So what's new with Fantag? I understand you're working on some partnerships with some other organizations. What else is happening? What's going on?
So really the big things right now are working on securing some big partnerships, and we're working to close the deals. So can't talk about them too much, but they're really exciting, not only for getting the product out and creating value for those partners, but also being able to see some adoption of the product. And then we are gearing up for a product launch. We're going to start with a beta this summer and then a fall app release. So those are the really exciting things. And then, in terms of beyond that, it's really about, we might be looking into some other verticals, exploring them, and then really building our videographer network. That's a huge emphasis for us. I'm a videographer first and foremost, and it's...
And I'm a poor one.
Well, we have the same camera here that we're shooting on, so I like that camera. But no, it's fun to think about. I really want to help people capture video. I think that content creation is very exciting. Cameras are just ubiquitous, so there's no difficulty, filming great content. It's all about how do I get the most return on my work? How do I get the best moments that I'm creating in front of the right audience? And that's really the problem that has been driving me to solve. So building that videographer network is going to be a lot of work and a lot of fun.
Is it an open beta that you're launching this summer, or is it closed?
So it'll be a closed beta, but when we do the formal release, then anyone will be able to download it. And really, it's speaking to what I said earlier. It's about learnings, but we'll have a certain number that we can allow for people to join the app, and we're gonna hope to grow that number over the summer, and then with the launch, with the release this fall, that'll be.
So for any high school parents and coaches listening or watching who would love to get their hands on this, when do you project this is going to be more widely available?
So this will be, we're saying this will be widely available later this year.
Okay.
So
So maybe in time for fall football season?
Absolutely, that's the hope. We know that this would be, personally I'm a football fan, and I would love to there's so many times I see a cool moment or I happen to look away from the game and would say, man, I really wish I could relive that. So it's going to be exciting.
Cool. So you mentioned the Videographer Network. Let's explain what that's going to entail, incentivizing videographers to share, or kind of referrals or affiliate. What's that?
So really, we want to attract people who are either already filming or who would like to do more filming around school. So on one side, it's students who are in high school who want to get more involved. And then for the videographer community, it could be parents who are already filming for their teams, or business service providers who go out and film and, again, want to get a higher return on the video they're capturing. And so this summer, really looking for those interested people who want to go out and be the video provider for the Fantag experience. So if people are interested, we're looking for people who want to film, and I hope pioneer something that will be.
So
really
where do they
exciting.
go to sign up?
So if they go to fantag.live, we have a contact form, and if anyone wants to just put in the subject line videographer, and then I will get in touch with you.
All right, cool. Yeah. So sometimes I like to ask this question.
Yeah.
Dreaming, a year, wildest dreams, or maybe not wildest dreams. A year from now or 5 years from now, where do you hope to be?
I hope that every single live event is Fantag ready. I'd love to see, you go to your son's basketball game, and then you go to a Kings game, and then you go to, there's a party or an event, and then you go to work, and there's a conference being filmed. Really that every single moment could be Fantagged, you can be collecting your moments, and just creating that catalog of all the important moments that matter to you. So yeah, it's
Okay.
a dream.
So you've got some experience now as a founder. You're 3 years in, 4 years in now. So what advice, parting advice, tips would you give aspiring entrepreneurs out there, whether it's Sacramento or elsewhere, anywhere for that matter? Lessons learned that you can share, or advice.
Yeah, so I have a couple written down actually. It really, it's
Prepared ahead of time.
prepared. Yeah, prepare ahead of time. That's a good advice. No, really just speaking to the to learning fast, to getting out there and talking to people. Every pivotal moment in this company's history, whether it be with customers or growing the business or getting fundraising, there were people that were not there the day before, who came in and, figuratively speaking, who came in and really helped shape, the next direction, who I got to learn from. So just getting out there and talking to people is, you're not going to hit a home run every time. Sometimes you'll meet someone and it's not the right fit, but that's a big piece of advice. And then I think the other thing I wished I had done early on, but is a learning experience, was just challenging your assumptions and not being afraid to do that. You can kind of have a nice tidy story for what you're building and have all the answers, and you like it. It's clean, it's simple, you can communicate it, but it's easy to get sucked into that, and maybe there's an assumption that, hey, market conditions have changed, new competitors have come up. Being able to consider those and say, is this still how it is, or do I want it to be that still? So I think that's another piece. And then, this one is kind of hard, but really just wake up and be grateful. I mean, it helps you get the job done, and this is all about execution. And I've had some of the hardest moments of my life building this company, and that really challenged me. But knowing, just waking up and trying to tell yourself, like, wow, if I wasn't doing this, I could get a job. And I mean, this is a really exciting, fun opportunity. There's a lot to learn. I'm going to learn more here than I maybe could anywhere else. So be grateful and treat every day like you got something special.
Good advice. Good.
Yeah.
So that's kind of piggybacking off of that. That's advice for startup founders as what I would call a startup community builder here in Sacramento. What advice do you have for the startup community in the area as a whole? What do you wish what do we need maybe, or what do you see that's missing besides money? That's everybody's answer.
Yeah, everyone's answer is money. To be honest, I'm new to the community, so I moved up here just over a month ago. But from what I've seen, really, if the community is anything like the people that I've met, I think that everything's moving in the right direction. I think that speaking again towards people, and I think the important thing is really to connect and network as much as possible. And anytime there are those opportunities to get out there and do it, I want to answer the question fairly. I just am new to the area, but I will say that any kind of opportunity to get out there for if there's a guest speaker, if there's a symposium, if there's an event, a meetup event that's around businesses and startups, you will never know what you're going to learn. So,
and I think that's something that I've seen since I've been involved here is an increase in that kind of thing. There's a lot of going on, especially these last 3 weeks. There's a lot going on in Sacramento right now, startup community. If you're not getting out and getting involved, you're missing out.
Yeah.
All right, well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you got to be a busy guy, so thanks for coming out and sharing. And we wish you the best of luck, and let us know what's going on with Fantag. Keep us up to date, and again, best of luck.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and good luck to you.